of learning in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah, I agree with you. When it comes down to the YouTube University, that has been my primary source of education for the last 10 plus years. And so all the major skills that I've learned have actually all come from YouTube, the YouTube
Yeah,
University.
I like to make a comment on something I like about living in 2021, right? A past pandemic now, but living in this age, and something that I like about you as well. Um, there's really no excuse for anybody to say like, I can't afford to go to a university and I just
Yeah,
can't learn anything new, because the information, there's just so much right now on the web that I just don't even have the time to learn it all. But
you
you could
don't.
be
Yeah,
learning, and I learn something new every day, largely through the web. But you could learn anything, and
yeah,
I have specific things I'm looking at that we could talk about, because I'm in the world of 3D printing now, right? And there's a lot of
yep.
knowledge there, but it's really an incredible time. Anybody that's not learning something, it's really their own fault,
It
because
is.
the access to the information is just all you need. Really is like a
Yeah.
tablet and a Wi-Fi connection.
As long as you know what questions to ask, the answers are there. You just got to go through. You just got to do the work. And so I totally agree with you. And going a little bit back, I do want to jump into the 3D aspect that you've been working on. But before we get to that, um, we mentioned VR and VR and gaming and how it's becoming substantial in its own way. I did notice though that when it came down to the development of HoloLens within Microsoft, their actual breadwinner within the VR, I guess, ecosystem that they were creating, they had way more success in selling um, essentially applications they would create for companies. So they would have a partnership with a company. Let's just say, for example, I forget the name of it, but it's an elevator company. They make escalators and elevators. And essentially, this VR application would be able to go into a house, you put on the headset, and it would create what would be built months down the road. But the business owner, the person that owns the house, would be able to see it in action right there on the spot, overlaid over their house. Medical applications, they were making a bunch of those as well. And so it seemed like the gaming stuff is sort of the obvious applications to it, but there was so much more to it in regards to psychology, helping people with traumas and different aspects of the medical field. um, where do you see VR going in regards of the business world and just every day-to-day basis, things that are not gaming related when it comes to VR?
Right. So you use some great examples of the application of the equipment, right? The technology, and you were referring some aspects to augmented reality. When I say virtual reality, I'm referring to the entire spectrum of immersive technology. But I refer to it as VR because VR is kind of everybody knows what it is.
Yeah,
And then augmented reality, mixed reality are things I still sort of have to explain to people. And also, I'm a huge fan of virtual reality in terms of the immersion, right?
yeah,
Because a HoloLens is not full immersion. When you put on
exactly.
HoloLens, you're still in your environment. Like I
Layered.
said, you're on a construction site and things are being built, and then you can put it on and you can see sort of the final product. And
Right.
that visualization is very powerful. But that wouldn't be virtual reality. But I like
So would
the
you call that
entire.
augmented?
We would call it augmented. I mean, I refer to HoloLens as an AR device, but ultimately it's all part of the same thing. The technology is very similar and
Very similar, yeah.
interchangeable, right? If you can create a virtual reality product, you can create an augmented reality product, with some differences, but you have all that it takes. Anyways, I like virtual reality, so I refer to it as VR just to clarify things.
Yeah,
But to answer your question, VR is a medium, right? So HoloLens is a medium. Uh, what I mean by that is that it's not a new product. So if Microsoft was making, let's just say, something that is not a tablet and it's not a smartphone, but it's somewhere in between, it has a touch screen, It has a 2D interface. It would still be in the same paradigm. You could call it something else, but it would be either like a tablet or a smartphone, right? And it would be a new product. It would not be a new medium. VR is a new medium. So in the way that I see it, it applies to anything that you can think of, just as in the same way that computers do. So people had trouble understanding what computers were useful for back in the day. Really, it's like you get this box. What do you use it for?
Right, right.
So an obvious application, for example, is spreadsheets, because there's only so much computing you can do on a calculator, right? So eventually you need to like keep track of data, and you're like you're managing payroll or whatever. So spreadsheet is like a great way to justify a computer. When it comes to the computer and the internet, buying books through the internet made a lot of sense for people, right? What do I got to go to a bookstore? I can go online. I can find unlimited books, anything
Are
that
you
I
referring to
want.
the origin of Amazon?
I'm referring to
Or
Amazon as an
yeah.
example, but that's something that really made sense for people, that made it very popular in the beginning. It's like, can I go to the library and there's like a limited supply of books because they only have so much physical space, or can I go online and find pretty much everything that's ever been written, so to
Mhm.
speak? And then I order something, and then I have the convenience of having it delivered. So I like that idea. This is a real story, by the way, right? I'm speaking in terms of what really happened. I like that idea. I like the idea of ordering books and having them arrive at my house. So now you can justify buying a computer, because for a long time people were like, what do I need it for? Now I can understand, if I buy one, it gives me the ability to order books to arrive to my house, and I can be using the computer to look for anything that I want to read, right? I'm using that just as an example, but the computer has unlimited applications. You
Mhm.
could use it on cars, you could use it for medical software, you could
Anything.
use it in, you know,
Yeah.
you could use it for anything. So VR is the same way. What I focus on is teaching. I focus on giving people the knowledge to create, which has
Yeah.
nothing to do with universities. Let's just say universities are a vehicle and they're a means, but if you have all of the knowledge that of anything that could be learned, that you're doing it yourself, and you're, let's just say you're stuck in your home for whatever reason, limited economic means. Um, Maybe it's a pandemic, but you cannot leave your house, but you have a VR headset and you have access to content. There you could be doing stuff, right,
Yeah.
and learning in a more powerful way than YouTube, I would say. So that's what I've been thinking in terms of VR application. But gaming does push the boundaries in many ways. It has for PCs, and it does for VR, and it will for VR for some time. And what gaming makes possible is all the other stuff, because
Yeah.
this technology is not easy to develop, really. And VR for a while was really challenging, because it wasn't as refined as it is today. So, the visuals weren't great. People got nauseated sometimes. Today, that's not much of an issue. Um, I could talk more about that because I have a lot of experience with sharing VR with people. But
Yeah, no, let's dive into the
today is
education
pretty great.
part. And yeah.
So, education is twofold, because what we did with Chronos was, that we're still doing, is teaching people how to create content. You could call that VR development. You could call that augmented reality development, which we've done a lot of with HoloLens. By the way, did you know that the mastermind, the guy that created HoloLens, is Brazilian?
Yeah, don't tell me. It's I met him.
You have
Shoot, what's his name?
Alex
Uh
Kidman.
yes, Alex. Alex, yeah, yeah.
So from what I know, his parents live in Curitiba, which is where my parents live as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I met
I
him,
mean,
had a chance to meet Bill Gates as well.
uh, I think we've exchanged a few messages, but I don't think he really, knows I exist. But at some point, we'll probably talk, he and I, down the line, when it makes
Maybe we'll
sense.
get him. Maybe we'll get him on the podcast.
Right. You could try. He might be happy to
Yeah.
talk with you. He's a busy guy. I know that, right? He has a lot on his shoulders, because I'm very proud of Microsoft for investing the amount of billions that they have into future tech like HoloLens.
Yeah.
It's not something that every company can do, and for a while, it's not even something that companies that could do were willing to do, and Microsoft led the way in that. Apple still doesn't have a product, but if anything, Apple will do it because Microsoft is doing it, and others, right? So getting back to what you were discussing in terms of applications for virtual reality, that was your question, right?
Yeah, I
My
was,
mind,
yeah, in
my, my,
regards to
my,
just
my
the
mind.
bigger picture.
So my mind is on teaching, Lucas. My mind is on teaching and bringing knowledge to people, right? Let's just say, I'll give you one example that's very real, that really makes the point, right? How long does it take for somebody to learn about the human body to be able to do a particular type of surgery effectively, let's just say,
Quite some
right?
time.
So yeah, sometimes you have to go through like medical school for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend that. I'm not saying don't go to medical school, but if we could bring VR to medical school and reduce the amount of time that it takes for somebody to become a surgeon substantially, let's just say
Yeah.
by half, now you're saving more lives and you can bring more people into the real action, as
Yeah.
opposed to just learning for over a decade before you can actually work on a patient, right?
That was one application that I worked on giving a demo for, which was
Yeah.
a medical application. Yeah.
So that's just an example. I'm talking in terms of time, but even beyond time, for example, sometimes people just don't know something very well. I mean, the human body is extremely complex and hard to understand. No matter how
Yeah.
much you study and learn, there's always something new that you're learning. So if VR can also give you more knowledge,
It's
um,
right there on the
we have,
spot.
yeah, we have even people more competent faster,
Right.
right?
And
It just
actually,
benefits everybody.
a good example for that would have been for the medical application. While the doctors had the headset on, in real life, they would have to go back and look at the files from the actual patient while going back and forth. In this case, they were simply able to pull up the files as they were working on the patient, and all the different information would come up right there, overlaid on their reality. And so you're totally right. It's a matter of a concept where we're just able to do things at a next level of efficiency. And when it comes to important jobs like saving lives, that matters.
Yeah, I mean, tech can be used for good or for bad, and I wanted to mention that. So I think VR will be used for everything, in every area that you can
I
think
think I
of.
know where you're going with this one.
I mean, I read stuff online sometimes, like somebody posted a question the other day. They said, is, is there a dating app, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a dating app. She's like, this is would be a great idea. Well, I'm sure somebody's gonna have that idea. I'm sure somebody's gonna get the funding to invest in a company that will build that.
Yeah.
There will be then the next Match.com type of thing. It's just not something I want to work on. Will
Yeah.
there exist? I am convinced that it'll exist.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's gonna be like incredible. It's gonna be something. I think the VR in many ways, when we're talking about specific things, specific topics, specific segments, many people are going to say, I don't want to do the old way anymore. I want to do it through VR, right?
Yeah.
Dating is an example of that. I mean, do you want to be swiping photos on an app, on a
But
mobile
you're right
phone?
though.
Or
You're right.
that's just an example.
Personally, I think that is a continuous hindrance of certain things that it became a fun, cool thing like Tinder or whatever, where you swipe left or right. But really, when you look years ahead and you look at how has it actually played out, it's been a huge detriment to the dating scene. I mean, I can tell you for a fact, um, the concept of swiping left or right, having all these options, at first it seems fun, it seems easy, it seems like you just pull out your phone whenever you're just hanging out and you can line up a date without even having to get off your phone, get off your couch. Well, a lot of the times we are not able to foresee the actual damage that it's going to do until it's done. And I do think, like you said, technology, it really depends how you use it. I do find it important for us to talk about that because I do feel like we live in a world where everything is being said it's okay. Everything is whatever. Just try it out. Just do this. Just do that. And I don't really think we really focus on the effects that these different components that we create have on society. I mean, for example, I mean, I'm sure you've heard people like Elon Musk make several comments about technology itself and how it can be more dangerous than we actually think. What's your thought in regards to us having this morality meter before making things just to make them?
You know, in terms of that, here's how I look at it. Okay, I got into the computer industry fairly early, but I'm talking about that in Brazil, right? If people were doing that here in the United States at the time, they would have started even earlier. Those were the real leaders, I would say. That technology was pretty amazing even at the time. I mean, my first computer was an AT286. Those who go back that far will know what that is. It was the original computer was the XT. It was a clone IBM. Many people at the time were against computers. Not massive numbers of people, but there was definitely a visible group of people that were like, no, we're not going to embrace that. This is going to be bad, right?
Yeah.
And I ended up moving here, pursuing a job at Microsoft, getting a job at Microsoft, and really I dedicated a lot of my time to the development of the technology, right? And I benefited from that in many ways that we could talk about. One of the things that comes to mind for me is his ability to do video like you and I are doing, right?
Yeah.
The original app for that was really Skype.
Yep.
And I got to use Skype before it got acquired by Microsoft. It was my main app. And I remember that when I had just moved here, it didn't exist. So I would call my parents on a payphone, which no longer exists. I would use a calling card with like a 16-digit number that I had to punch in. And then a voice would come that was recorded that would say, your call to Brazil is $2 a minute, and you have this balance. And I would get on the phone with my parents, and it was always very brief. Well, hi, how are you? I'm spending $2 a minute here. This is going to cost a lot. So we got to keep this short. Everything is fine. Take care, right? And to be able to see somebody with a device that you can carry, right, anywhere in your pocket, and to see that person like I'm seeing you right now, and literally for free.
Right.
It's not costing you anything. It's not costing you $2 a minute or even 10 cents a minute. It's really, when you've witnessed that like I have in my life, because I was born in 75, right? I'm not as young anymore. It's really something, right?
Yeah.
Because today people wake up. Today people are born. You're much younger than me, but they just take that for granted for sure, right? So for me, that's the benefit of the technology. I don't want to be part of the group that is against that. Today, as it will be with any technology, there will always be that group of people that are going to be against that. And then there are the group of people that are just sort of mindlessly pushing it forward. I don't want to be part of either group, but I also don't want to focus on the dark.
All right, thanks for watching this clip from Appropriate Culture. If you want to watch the full episode, go ahead and check out us at appropriateculture.com. You can also check us out on social media platforms at Appropriate Culture. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.